What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video. And today we're discussing a guy who I think is probably the most shredded classic physique competitor of all time. His name is Laszlo Kiraly. Now we're going to compare him to a guy who many consider the most shredded bodybuilder of all time, and that's Andreas Munzer. All that and more coming up, guys. Enjoy the video. What's up, Desktopers? Now, before we get into it, please, if you like these style of videos, give me a thumbs up and like this video, and that way I'll know to make more of these. Also, subscribe and hit that notification bell button, and that way you'll be notified of every video that goes up for myself, Xavier Wills, at Desktop Bodybuilding. But let's launch into it. So, Laszlo Kiraly. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. This dude's from Hungary. He is shredded to the bone. He just got his pro card this year, and he looks really good because he is peeled to the bone. Now, what I'm wondering before we get into the whole comparison to Andreas Munzer and who's more shredded, I'm wondering if they will reward this in classic physique, because I don't know if we've seen this sort of conditioning in classic physique. I know they want conditioning. We see the guys that are doing well at the Olympia, they're conditioned, but none of them are this conditioned as far as I can see. Now, some people might be saying, is this filters and all that sort of stuff? I mean, there might be some sort of mild filtering to it, but this dude is peeled to the bone. You can't get lines like this, through his glutes and hamstrings without being absolutely shredded, regardless of what filter you put on it. So this dude is absolutely peeled to the bone. He's got a nice structure, a very small waist that suits classic physique, obviously. He can probably, I don't know how much weight he's got to move in the division, but it looks like probably a couple of kilos, because he does have that tiny waist, which really does help, I think, in classic physique, because if your waist is much smaller, there's going to be less weight there and more weight you can distribute across the rest of the physique. So this guy could be a legit contender. I don't know when his pro debut is going to be, but I believe he won, I think, the overall classic physique at the Amateur Olympia. I think that's actually how he got his pro card. So very excited to see how Laszlo Kiraly does in the pro ranks. Now, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. And if you do speak English and you watch this, Laszlo, please contact me. I want to do an interview with you and find out how you got so damn shredded. But let's compare him to Andreas Munzer. So let's look from the back. Now, when I first looked at this photo of Andreas Munzer, I'm like, this is what his glutes and hamstring must look like. I'm like, I can't remember actually seeing him, his glutes and hammies not looking shredded, but perhaps this is it, because you look at the rear delts and they're totally shredded to the bone as well there. But then I actually found some more photos of Andreas where, yeah, you can see his glutes and hamstrings are absolutely shredded. But look at this, guys. Now, his glutes and hammies are ridiculous. Like, probably the most shredded glutes I've actually ever seen in my life. I don't know if I've seen more shredded. And just overall conditioning everywhere is really, really tight. Now, he doesn't have that crazy detail through his delts as you see Andreas Munzer does, but I think that's part just the way this guy's muscle sits. He's got, slightly bigger heads on those muscles or something. I don't know how Andreas Munzer gets all those crazy little detailed grainy lines through his shoulders. So through the shoulders, through the chest, you have to give it to Andreas Munzer, but through the glutes and hammies, you should probably give it to Laszlo, or, say they're very comparable. So conditioning wise, they're very comparable. Now, one thing I'll say, obviously Andreas Munzer was an open competitive bodybuilder, so he did have a little bit more muscle. He's one of the smaller open competitive bodybuilders, but being an open bodybuilder and placing high, you've got to at least have a fair bit of muscle. And obviously Laszlo does as well, but you have to have a fair chunk of muscle. And he was more muscular than Laszlo. Obviously, he looked like he was older than Laszlo as well when he's competing too, which makes a difference in terms of that graininess, I'd say, that real shredded graininess, although Laszlo was grainy anyway. But through the delts and stuff, you can sort of see the difference. So I'll say there's a few different things there. But when you're bigger, obviously you're going to have, more muscle. It's going to be really bursting and pushing out against the skin. Now that might be what's happening with Andreas Munzer as well, which, obviously helps the appearance of appearing more shredded too. But this Laszlo guy, he must have suffered to get in that sort of conditioning. And I hope he's not doing anything too crazy extreme to get there, because, obviously we saw what happened with Andreas Munzer. He obviously did pass away, and I don't know, it was a whole concoction that he was doing, and people saw that, that apparently saw his, what they called the death cycle, and they said, yeah, that's no surprise he passed away, which is incredibly unfortunate that someone pushed themselves to that level, if that in fact was what Andreas Munzer was doing, but it's up on the screen now anyway, so you guys can see it. But what do you think about this Laszlo Kiraly guy? Will he place well with this sort of conditioning in classic physique in the pro ranks? I'm really interested to see how he does. I mean, you can see just his triceps, everything is shredded. This guy is just insane. Do you think they'll favour that, or do you reckon they'd like him probably slightly off this conditioning? I'm really interested to know what you guys think about all of this. And honestly, I don't know. We haven't seen a guy in this sort of shape in the classic physique pro ranks. I don't think they'll place him low based on it, so don't get me wrong, but maybe a guy with really nice shape they'll place ahead of him. I'm not too sure. I'm interested to see what happens anyway, and I hope he makes his pro debut next year or something, because I think he can do really, really well if they reward the conditioning. But guys, let me know what you think in the comments. It's much appreciated. Also, I just wanted to say, shout out of the episode goes to Jose El Costa. Thanks for sharing my stuff out on Facebook, and thanks for doing all you do for the channel as well. All the support from you guys is much appreciated. If you guys want to shout out, let me know in the comments that you want to shout out, and I'll see that. And if you're someone who comments or shares my stuff out, then I will shout you out, and it's much appreciated. And I see, basically all your guys' comments, but it is hard to catch up sometimes when I'm getting several hundreds of comments every single day, but I try to get back to everyone when I can. Anyway, guys, that's it for another video for Xavier Will's Desktop Bodybuilding. Also, before I go, make sure you like this video if you like these style of videos. Also, subscribe and hit that notification bell button, and that way you'll be notified of everything that goes up for myself, Xavier Will's Desktop Bodybuilding. So for Xavier Will's Desktop Bodybuilding, we are out.